It was just the beginning of July, and the early season rain came pouring down. The village pond, dried to the bottom throughout the dry season, suddenly filled with murky water. Fallen leaves covered the surface. Debris drifted in clumps, yet somehow, we found that pond oddly alluring. Who suggested first? This kind of rain brings fighting fish to the surface. You free this afternoon? Let's go catch some. I nodded instantly. It had been a while since we hunted fighting fish. Kwong and Lam agreed too. The four of us biked to the village edge, crossed a thorny bamboo path, and in 5 minutes reached the pond behind the old cemetery. Kwong grumbled as we walked. We're catching fish here? Next to a cemetery. Nobody even dares to swim here. They're scared. Hu scoffed. Then don't come. This is where the good fish are. You go to the rice fields. You'll only get some useless ones. They don't fight well. I added in. Yeah, I remember the old men in the neighborhood used to catch fighting fish here. I think the ones in this pond are fierce, once they fight. It's to the death. Lam's tone grew serious. But I heard someone drowned in this pond a long time ago. Took many offerings to calm the spirit. That's why people avoid it. Who waved it off? Nonsense. Who died? When? Who saw? Just dumb rumors. When we got there, the water was still as glass. We split up, each taking a net and scooping through clusters of water hyacinth. At first, we saw a few small, pale, slow fish, but 10 minutes later, Hu suddenly yelled, "Hey, look what I caught." We rushed over. In Hu's net was a pitch-black fighting fish with blood-red streaks down its back, puffed-out gills, and wide fanned tail. Its eyes glowed red, like tiny embers. Kwong winced. That thing looks gross. It's weird. Lam stared. Its eyes look more human than fish. And why's the water in the net bubbling like that? I froze. The water really was foaming, fizzing like someone blowing air from below. The smell was different too, thick, metallic, like fish blood mixed with rust. Hu laughed loudly. That's what makes it valuable. This one's a demon fighting fish. I'll raise it and use it to fight tomorrow. Guaranteed victory. I tried to object. Maybe we should let it go. Something feels wrong. Hu frowned. You're such a coward. It's just a fish. If you guys can't catch any, don't spoil the fun. The mood instantly shifted. Lam looked at me and shook his head slightly. We caught a few more fish, but none looked like Hu's. That evening, I saw Hu put the demon fish into a glass cup and set it right by his bed. It swam in circles, its eyes never leaving me, even though I just stopped by. As I left, a chill ran down my spine. The sun had dipped behind the hills. Gray clouds filled the sky. I thought I heard footsteps, slapping wet sounds, like someone walking barefoot in water. But I didn't dare turn around. The next few nights, for some reason, I kept waking up in the middle of the night, sometimes around 3 in the morning, drenched in cold sweat, unable to recall my dreams. Just a crushing heaviness on my chest, like something was sitting on me. One afternoon after school, I dropped by Hu's house. He was sitting motionless, staring into the fish cup. His face looked sunken, eyes hollow, skin pale. I asked, "You okay? Got a cold?" He didn't answer, just shook his head. His hand trembled as he scooped food for the fish. The black fish didn't eat right away. Instead, it swam backward, its tail flaring like raised hackles. That night, I dreamed I was standing in the middle of a flooded field. At the center was a small pond with pitch-black water. A woman with long, soaked hair sat in the middle. Her eyes were all white. She said nothing, just looked up at me and waved. I woke with a start, heart pounding. The next morning, I told Kwong about the dream. He stared, mouth agape. Same here. I saw that woman too. Long hair, wet clothes, skin pale like a floating corpse. It was terrifying. Lam chimed in. I saw her too, but she didn't call me. She stood at the foot of my bed, just stared, then cried. I shivered. All three of us turned to look at Hu. Hu was slumped over his desk, scratching his neck. His nails were caked with mud. That afternoon, Hu called us over. Come check out my fish fight. I want to test my black one against 2 depths fish. We went. Hu had prepared 2 jars, filled with clean water, and dropped the fish in. His fish lunged instantly, biting non-stop. Within 2 minutes, the other was shredded and floated limp. Kwong grimaced. "Your fish is too aggressive. But why's the water so cloudy? And it stinks." Lamb leaned in, sniffed, then coughed. "Disgusting. Smells like something long dead." I looked closer at the jar bottom. The white stones Hu had placed were now stained dark brown. Strange particles floated around. Still, Hu was cheerful. "The more it fights, the stronger it gets. Must be special bloodline. I'm entering it in the next fish fighting tournament. Big prize." I said nothing, but on my way out, I heard a soft gurgle from the fish cup, not water. It sounded like breathing, raspy, like someone choking. The next morning, as I was about to leave for school, my mom stopped me. She handed me a wormwood twig wrapped in red thread. "Keep this in your bag. Carry it with you everywhere. You've been acting strange lately." Looking off, I asked, "Who told you this stuff?" "Old lady Sao. From down the street." She said something heavy's hanging around. Especially the kids. Gave me chills. I took it to ease her mind but felt a strange unease. The non-stop nightmares, the creepy fish, the breathing sound, and the way Hu had looked lately. At recess, I took Kwong and Lamb to the old cement steps behind school. We sat in silence for a long time. Then I spoke up. "You guys ever think that fish might not be normal?" Kwong shivered. "I believe it now. Remember the woman in the dream? I saw her again last night. She stood under my bed, pointing toward the pond." Lamb lowered his voice. "My grandpa said, years ago, a girl drowned in the cemetery pond. She was 16, raped, then drowned. Poor family. No one offered prayers. Her body bloated before they fished her out." I frowned. How come I've never heard of this? Old folks don't talk about it. My grandpa only whispered it. They used to drop a red fighting fish with betel leaf to retrieve the soul. If you accidentally caught that fish, it meant you touched the spirit. We looked at each other. The wind howled around us. I shuddered, but inside, a truth was becoming clear. We had messed with something we shouldn't have. Kwong stood up first. "I'm free this evening. Let's go see old lady Sao. We need to know what this is. Can't just ignore it." I nodded. Lamb agreed, though he winced. "But she's scary. Her scolding gives you headaches." "I don't care, as long as we figure this out. These nightmares are driving me insane." Around 4 p.m., we walked down to the lower neighborhood. Her house sat at the end of a red dirt alley, behind a garden of betel palms. The wooden gate was old, its latch rusted. Kwong knocked. "Grandma Sao, can we ask you something?" No reply, but within a minute, the wooden door creaked open. She stood there, white hair, wrinkled skin, but her eyes, dark and deep, like they knew everything. "You kids, you've already touched it, haven't you?" We froze. I stammered. What do you mean?" "I saw it. 3 black shadows trailing behind you. One is on your shoulder, one's at your feet, and one is inside the fish." Lamb turned pale. "Are you serious?" She nodded, tapped her cane to the ground with a loud thunk. The pond behind the cemetery was cursed. A girl died unjustly. No one prayed for her. Out of fear, the villagers released beetle and fighting fish to guide her spirit. Over time, the fish died, and her soul never moved on. If someone with matching spirit accidentally catches it, it follows. I whispered, "Is there any way to undo it?" She looked at me, voice slow and grave. "You must return it, but not just by releasing the fish. It's been with the boy, it's now a vessel. You need the right day, the right time, and real blood. Do it wrong, and it'll drag someone down to die in its place." Kwong panicked. "Real blood? What do you mean?" She said nothing more. She turned and went inside, leaving us trembling on the front porch, the wind whispering through the betel palms like a heavy sigh. I swallowed hard. My heart sank like a rock. This was no dream anymore. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those glowing red eyes of the fighting fish, swimming in circles inside a glass cup resting in the palm of my hand. I jolted upright, turned on the light. Nothing was there, but the chill clung to me like a shadow. The next morning, bad news spread throughout the neighborhood. 2 deaths. the one who had fought fish with Hu the day before, was found drowned in the small pond behind his house. The pond was less than half a meter deep. No one could understand how he ended up face down, limbs stiff and curled. The moment I heard it, my spine went cold. Kwong stammered. Last night I heard water splashing, thought it was a cat falling into the jar or something, but who would have thought? Lam sighed. It's not a coincidence anymore. I believe it now. That afternoon, Kwong and I decided to go to Hu's house. He hadn't gone to school, and he wasn't replying to messages either. The door was ajar. I pushed it open, calling out, "Hu, you home?" No answer. The house was strangely quiet. The glass cup was still on the nightstand, but the fish was nowhere to be seen. Kwong bent down, picking up a small shard of glass from the floor. The cup's broken. Who cleaned this up? I tiptoed into the room, hearing a faint rustling sound behind the thin curtain. I gently pulled it back. Hu was crouching in the corner, holding a razor blade, cutting thin slices into his fingers. I screamed, "What are you doing, Hu?" He didn't turn around. His voice was a whisper. "It wants blood, just a little. If I keep it, I have to feed it." Kwong rushed over and grabbed his hand. Hu jerked away. "Don't touch me. You don't understand anything," I shouted. "Snap out of it. You're feeding a demon, not a fish." Hu stood up, eyes bloodshot. The whites of his eyes were stark. He hissed, "I'm not giving it up. It needs me. It told me. It'll give me everything." We froze. That wasn't his usual voice. Something was speaking through him. Hu's mother ran in, screaming when she saw the blood on the floor. She collapsed, hugging her son tightly, mumbling desperate prayers. "Dear God, dear Buddha, dear wandering spirit, please let go of my son." Hu fainted. His lips moved, muttering something that sounded like the splash of breaking water. That night, the entire neighborhood lit incense in every alley. I sat alone in my room, my mind tangled like a knotted string. Outside, the rain began to fall. In a restless dream, I saw Hu standing in the middle of the pond, holding the razor blade, slicing across his chest. Each drop of blood that fell caused the water at his feet to bubble up, red, like rust. Beneath the surface, a faint image of a girl's face appeared, grinning with curled lips. 3 days passed, and Hu still didn't go to school. His house stayed shut. Word was his mother had taken him to a temple for cleansing. But even then, people said he still screamed, pounded on doors, and cried through the night. Kwong said that one night, passing by his house, he even heard faint laughter, high-pitched and chilling, though he couldn't tell whose it was. I kept dreaming every night. Once, I saw myself sitting in class. When I looked back at the last desk, Hu was slumped over, but as I approached, he lifted his head, his face pale, with no eyes, just 2 deep sockets, and inside, fish swimming. Another time, I dreamt I was walking through the village at night. It was pitch black. From the roadside ponds, hundreds of fighting fish leapt onto land with wet slaps, their eyes red, tails red, blood gushing from their gills. The more I dreamed, the more the line between dream and reality blurred. I couldn't tell if I was awake or asleep anymore. One rainy night, I was jolted awake by loud banging on the door. When I opened it, I saw Lam soaking wet, his face pale. Hu, he ran away. His mom can't find him. Someone said they saw him heading toward the old pond. We grabbed flashlights and rushed out in raincoats, running down the narrow path behind the cemetery. The rain was steady, puddles collecting everywhere. The sky had no moon or stars, just the sounds of frogs and the wind howling through the trees. When we arrived, under the beam of our flashlights, the pond's surface was muddy and still, but there was a figure standing at the edge. It was Hu. He stood motionless, hair soaked and hanging, his shirt drenched, holding a shattered glass cup, its jagged rim still stained with blood. I shouted, "Hu, what are you doing? Step away from the edge." He didn't turn. His voice was barely a whisper, drifting like wind. "It's calling me." Lam stepped forward. "Walk away. Man, you didn't do anything wrong. Why should you take its place?" Hu let out a quiet laugh. "I'm not taking its place. I'm going to it. It said it'll show me everything. It said, it needs someone to talk to." I stepped closer, my feet sinking into cold mud. Who turned to look at me, his eyes glowing red, blood dripping from his nose. I saw her, the girl, the one who died unjustly. She was tied up and drowned right here in this pond. No one saved her. Every year, someone gets pulled in. This time, it's my turn, but I'm not afraid. He raised the broken glass cup, grinning from ear to ear, then slowly stepped into the water. Lamb and I screamed, lunging to grab him, but the pond's water surged suddenly, as if something beneath was pulling him down. In that moment, I saw clearly, beneath the murky surface, a pale hand was gripping Hu's ankle. We both plunged in and managed to drag Hu back to shore. He had passed out. The pond grew still, as if it had never stirred. But we knew, whatever was down there hadn't left. It had only stepped back, waiting for next time. Since that day, Hu barely spoke. He ate little, always staring into empty space. When I asked, "You okay now?" he only replied, "It hasn't left. It's here, inside my head." I walked home, heart heavy. As I passed the pond, a sudden gust of wind stirred the surface. The water rippled. I saw a figure, long hair, pale face, standing in the middle, staring at me. I blinked, and it was gone. But the slapping sound of barefoot steps followed me all the way home. That night, as I lay in bed, I felt it, one cold drop of water falling from nowhere, sliding down my neck, and a sorrowful voice whispering by my ear, "Don't stop me. I still don't have someone to hear me out." I woke up a little past 3 a.m., my whole body cold like I had just stepped out of the pond. My back drenched in sweat. But the strangest part, my feet were wet. Water dripped from my pant legs, one drop at a time onto the floor. And I was sure I hadn't stepped out of bed all night. I turned on my phone flashlight, scanning the floor. No puddles. But when the light swept under the bed, I froze. A pale face lay flat against the floor, eyes wide open, staring up, unblinking, its lips curled in a smile, blood oozing from the corners. I screamed and bolted upright. The lights flicked on. The space under the bed was empty. Nothing there, but the smell of blood still clung to my nose. The next morning, I went to Kwang's house and told him about the dream, or maybe hallucination. He didn't look surprised. I saw it too, but not under the bed. It was in the bathroom mirror. I was brushing my teeth, looked up, and she was behind me. Long hair, pale face, no eyes, lamb cut in. Maybe we're being pulled in too? Not just Hu, all of us. I nodded, heart in knots. Old Lady Sao once said, that spirit just needed someone to listen. But listen to what? Who said it needed someone to talk to it? Maybe only when we learn how she died, what her pain was. Will she finally let go? That afternoon, I went to Hu's house. His mom wouldn't let me in. He hasn't eaten in 2 days. Just sits there, facing the wall. I'm scared, he's not my son anymore. I begged to go upstairs, hoping to salvage what little was left of him. The door was slightly ajar. Hu was sitting with his back turned, cradling a dead, dried up fighting fish. I whispered, "Hu." He turned around, his face pale, eyes sunken, but for the first time, his voice wasn't choked. "You want to know?" I saw it all. I sat down, holding my breath. Hu began to speak, but it wasn't his voice, it was that of a young Central Vietnamese girl. Soft and full of sorrow. I was 16, called out to the pond to wash vegetables for a ritual meal. The landlord's son followed me, said nasty things. I yelled. He covered my mouth and shoved me down. My head hit a rock. There was so much blood. I swallowed hard. Hu's eyes were fixed, as if possessed. He panicked, took a rattan rope, tied my legs to a bamboo stake, and sank me, said the guiding fish would keep my soul at peace. But I was never at peace. His voice cracked. The water was so black, cold, dark. I saw people pass by the bank, but no one helped. My body floated up 3 days later. No one looked at my face. My mother cried without sound. I burst into tears. My throat clenched. The room felt ice cold. Hu lowered his head, trembling. "You heard it now." I spoke for her. "So, do you believe me?" I didn't know how to answer. I only knew, if we couldn't help that soul find peace, then we, one by one, would be taken. Not to die, but to carry that voice to the living. The next morning, the three of us went back to old Lady Sao's house. She was airing incense under the porch, her eyes squinting toward the distance like she had been waiting. It finally spoke, didn't it? She asked the moment she saw us. I nodded and recounted everything Hu had conveyed. Her face fell. She stayed silent for a long while before finally saying, "That grievance is deep. She was murdered, with no one to mourn her, no one to speak for her innocence. Not even a single prayer. A soul like that, over time, turns into vengeful energy. And if that energy enters a weak body, and it can't be removed, then a life must be exchanged." Lamb asked, "Is there a way to help, Grandma?" Lady Sao gave a small nod. "There is, but it must be done precisely. It's called the reverse offering ritual, meaning instead of the living offering to the dead, this time the dead forces the living to make the offering, following the exact rites, to be released." I swallowed hard. "What do we have to do?" She looked at the three of us, her voice firm. "Tonight, at the exact witching hour, 3 in the morning, you must bring the dead fish back to the old pond. Place it on the old woven mat that once witnessed the drowning. There must be incense. There must be blood, from the one who first touched the fish. There must be someone reading the apology aloud, and someone to listen." Kwong flinched. "Real blood, again?" Lady Sao spoke firmly. "No blood, no ritual, no listener. The spirit won't leave, not enough witnesses. The seal stays locked." I clenched my fists. That night, at the appointed hour, we returned to the pond's edge. The moon glowed faintly behind clouds. A cool wind blew. The old mat, prepared by Lady Sao, was laid on the muddy edge, beside the crooked coconut tree. I placed the dead fighting fish in the center. Blood from my fingertip dripped onto its body. Soaking in, Lamb lit the incense. Kwong held the scroll written by Lady Sao, reading each word of apology with trembling hands. The words were old, strange, sounding like whispers by the ear. As the last sentence ended, the pond's surface began to bubble. Tiny ripples spread outward, then fell completely silent. Hu, standing at a distance, suddenly stepped forward, whispering, "It's coming, don't say a word." No one spoke. A cold wind howled. A white shape slowly appeared on the water, blurry like mist, hair covering the face, hand holding a soaking wet rattan rope. It didn't step onto land, but I could hear it clearly, not through my ears, but echoing inside my head. "Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for calling my name." I whispered, "What's your name?" A girl's voice answered, heartfelt, "My name is Han." A thin white mist dissolved over the water. The last incense stick went out. The mat was blown by the wind into the mud, sinking quietly under the water. None of us said a word, but inside, it felt like a heavy stone had been lifted from our hearts. From that night on, no one dreamed of that spirit again. We thought it was over. But less than a week after the ritual, the pond behind the cemetery changed color, from pale green to deep black. The elders in the village began whispering, bubbles rising in the water, dead fish floating everywhere. One morning, I walked past and saw it clearly, among the water hyacinths. Something was rising, not a normal fish. It was shiny black, striped with red, swimming in slow circles like it was trapped in an invisible cage. Its eyes were still what chilled me the most, red as blood. Staring, unblinking. That night, I called Kwong and Lamb to meet. The three of us sat under the starfruit tree behind my house. Kwong exhaled. "Is it over yet?" I thought Han was gone. I shook my head. I saw another fighting fish, exactly like the first one. Red eyes, flared tail, circling swim, but I don't think it's her. Lamb scratched his head. "So what does that mean? Her soul didn't pass on? Or something else took her place?" I didn't answer, but one phrase from Lady Sao kept repeating in my mind. One spirit removed leaves a space for another. That pond does not hold just one bound soul. The next day, Aunt Tam, the vegetable seller, fainted while passing the pond. She said she saw someone sitting by the coconut tree, hair covering the face, wearing a torn white shirt. When she looked again, it was gone. That afternoon, under the blazing sun, lightning struck the middle of the pond. The coconut tree blackened at the base. People started whispering. The old seal never vanished, it only changed form. That same night, I saw Hu. He seemed more lucid, skin less pale, but his gaze still wandered. I asked, "Do you still hear anything in your head?" He replied softly, "I don't hear Han anymore, but I hear other voices. Whispering, many of them, I can't tell who." I shuddered. Lamb quietly pulled a paper from his backpack, a drawing of the black-red fighting fish, with a scrawled note underneath, "Don't let anyone touch it again." We looked at each other. No one said a word, but we all understood. That pond was not at peace. And that new fish, it wasn't just some creature from the water. It was a sign of another restless spirit, or a gateway to something even more terrifying. That night, old lady Sao sent someone to call me. She didn't leave her house, just sat with knees tucked to her chest on the dirt floor, the flickering oil lamp casting shadows across her wrinkled face, as if she already knew everything. "You kids did it wrong," she said, not blaming us, but her voice was cold. That seal was never meant to be broken like that. The unjust death of that girl Han was only one of 7 souls bound to that pond. Releasing one breaks the oath. I choked up, but we just wanted to help her find peace. To help, someone has to pay. No grudge dissolves on its own unless someone stands in its place. The fact Hu didn't die was luck, but the price, someone must bear it. I sat in silence. Kwong and Lam couldn't say anything either. Quietly, Lady Sao took out an old yellowed piece of paper. On it was a diagram of the seal, 7 red dots marked around the pond. We realized the ritual we just performed only touched one of them. There are 6 more souls. Once the seal tilts, the others will awaken, one by one, fiercer, more cruel, and to maintain the balance, each time a soul is released, a life must be given in return. Lamb trembled. "You mean, someone's going to die?" "Not going to. Already has." The next morning, news spread through the village. Aunt Tam's son, the first to see the white shadow after the offering, slipped and fell into a well. He died with a bluish body, limbs contorted. No one understood how. I went with Hu to the pond. The water was still, but strangely, from the bottom, faint black shapes rose, like ink swirling in water. Each shadow, shaped like a person. Hu whispered, "I can hear them now." They said this time, a life must be taken. Not by ritual blood, but a real person. If not, they'll drag us down, one by one. A chill ran down my spine. The evening wind howled. The once calm pond now felt like a gaping mouth, waiting. The sun set quickly. The sky turned dark even though it was only a little past 5. And in that moment, as the wind blew past, I heard it clearly, not one voice, but 7, whispering in my ear all at once. "Give it back, give it back, give our lives back." None of us could sleep that night, though we were in different places. We all heard the same sounds, fish flapping under the floor, water dripping, and bare footsteps circling our beds. Hu called me near 4 a.m., his voice trembling. The fish, I buried it, but last night, it showed up in my water glass. Alive, swimming. I held my breath. "Are you sure it's the same one?" Red eyes, black stripes, exactly the same. But this time, its tail was split, like someone had cut it. It kept spinning, then stared at me. I heard it clearly in my head. "We don't have enough yet. You're not done." That morning, I went to Hu's house. Kwong and Lam were there too. The 3 of us stared at the fish in the glass like it was a trap. Hu whispered, "I don't think it's just a spirit anymore, it's a gate. Something is using the fish as eyes, to watch, to choose." Lam took out his notebook. He had drawn the 7 seal points around the pond and added 2 new marks. The place where Han's body floated up, and where Aunt Tam's son, died in the well. Maybe this isn't personal anymore. Maybe this village, this whole pond, has been used for sacrificial offerings for decades. We decided to visit Lady Sao again, but her house was locked. The neighbors said she hadn't come out since yesterday. Behind the door hung a bundle of hair, real hair, tied with red string. A kind of warding charm. We went home. Who sat blankly. Should we tell someone? I let out a dry laugh. Tell who? The cops? Our homeroom teacher? None of us spoke. The sun shone on the pond, but its surface remained dark as ink. No people, no birds, just slow spirals rippling like something breathing underneath. That night, I dreamed I stood in the village temple courtyard. 7 white shadows in mourning veils formed a circle around me. Each one had the face of someone I knew: Han, little T, an old man, a newborn baby. The one in the center said, "We don't want offerings, we want justice. One of the living must go in our place. If not, we'll come up." I shouted, "But you're killing innocent people." The spirit only shook its head. "You broke the bindings, now you must seal them again. No one gets to escape." I woke with a jolt, my heart pounding like it would explode. At the foot of my bed was a puddle. In it lay the rotting corpse of a fighting fish, but its eyes were still wide open. I understood, this was only the beginning, and that pond was never truly at peace. There are stories, even when buried under mud and blood, that smolder quietly, waiting to rise. We were just kids, trying to catch a fighting fish, but we never imagined we had pulled up an ancient curse. If you ever walk past an old pond, see the water still as glass, hear the splash of a fish beneath your feet, or glimpse a figure standing in the middle, remember, some things aren't meant to be caught. They're meant to be left alone. Thank you for staying until the end of this story. If today's tale made your skin crawl or gave you something to ponder, don't forget to leave a comment below. And if you want me to continue with part 2, when the 6 remaining spirits rise, type, "The pond isn't done," in the comments so I'll know you're ready. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any upcoming stories from darkness in the night. Sleep well, if you can.